It is just after dawn on a stretch of American interstate, and the asphalt is still warm. You can see the heat coming off it in soft waves. A few hours ago, this was an open lane of raw stone and old, broken pavement. Now it is smooth, black, and perfect, the kind of surface that hums under your tires and disappears behind you at 70 miles an hour without a single thought. This is the road America invented, the greatest network of highways ever built by any nation, laid across mountains and deserts and swamps, stitched together over half a century. And if you had stood on this shoulder last night and watched it being made, you would have seen 3 machines do the work. The first machine tore up the old surface. It is called a cold milling machine, and it chewed the failed pavement down to a clean base in a single slow pass, grinding rock and asphalt into a stream of rubble on a conveyor. That machine was built in Germany. The second machine laid the new asphalt. It is called a paver, and it moved forward at a walking pace, spreading a perfect ribbon of hot mix behind it, flat and even to within a fraction of an inch. That machine was built in Germany. And the third machine, the one that came behind and pressed all of it down solid, the roller, the heavy drum that turns loose hot stone into a road that can carry an 80,000-pound truck. That one was built in Germany too. Stop and think about that for a second. On the highway system that America dreamed up, funded, and poured more concrete and steel into than almost anything else in its history, the machines that build and rebuild it are foreign. Every one of the 3. All of them. This is not a story about a country that fell behind on phones or televisions. This is road building, heavy iron, the exact kind of hard, physical industry America once owned so completely that the rest of the world came here to learn it. Somewhere along the way, that changed. The country that built the roads stopped building the machines that build the roads. And how that happened tells you something uncomfortable about what America decided was worth keeping. To understand the size of what was lost, you have to understand the size of what was built. In 1956, President Eisenhower signed the law that created the interstate highway system. It would grow into more than 46,000 miles of controlled access highway, and for decades it stood as the largest public works project in American history. It moved armies in theory and groceries in fact. It built the suburbs, the trucking industry, the road trip, the whole shape of modern American life. And every mile of it had to be laid, compacted, and eventually torn up and rebuilt by machines. For a long time, America built those machines. In 1916, 2 engineers named Harry Barber and William Green started a company in Aurora, Illinois, Barber Green. In the early 1930s, Harry Barber sketched out a machine that mixed and placed asphalt in one moving operation, and that sketch became the modern asphalt paver. The core idea, a floating screed that leaves a smooth mat behind a moving machine, is still how nearly every paver on Earth works today. An American invented it. But here is where the story turns. Barber Green shut its Illinois plant in the mid-80s. The pieces were sold off, and eventually its paver line was absorbed into Caterpillar. Blawnox, another proud American paver name, went the same way, swallowed into larger companies. The American road equipment industry did not die in a single dramatic collapse. It faded. It got bought, folded, and quietly retired. While that was happening, 2 German companies were doing the opposite. One was the Wirtgen Group, or Wirtgen, which pulled together the best names in the business under one roof. Wirtgen for milling, Vogele, or Fair Gulu, for paving, the world market leader in pavers, and Ham, or Ham, for rollers. The other was Bomag, or Bomag, the world leader in compaction. Between them, the Germans came to dominate the entire chain of building a road. And then came the confession. In 2017, John Deere, one of the most American companies that has ever existed, founded in 1837, paid more than $5.2 billion to buy the Wirtgen Group. Deere did not build its way to a serious road line. It could not, so it went to Germany and bought one. If a giant like John Deere had to go to Germany to build a road machine, you already know this story is bigger than one company. Subscribe, and let's follow it all the way down. Here is why this matters, and why the Germans winning the machine race is not just a question of national pride. It comes down to a single, brutal fact about asphalt. A road does not fail from the top down. It fails from the inside out, and whether it lasts 20 years or falls apart in two comes down to something most drivers never think about: compaction. When fresh asphalt leaves the paver, it is loose and it is hot, often around 300 degrees. Inside that hot mix are tiny pockets of air. The job of the roller is to squeeze those pockets out and press the stone into a dense, locked mass before it cools. Get it right, and you end up with air voids under about 7%, a surface so tight that water cannot get in. Get it wrong, and you leave too much air. Water seeps into those voids. Winter comes, the water freezes, it expands, and it pries the road apart from beneath. The first pothole of spring was really a compaction failure the previous summer. Nobody saw it happen. It was already there, waiting under a road that looked perfect. And the cruelest part is timing. The roller operator has a window of only a few minutes. Asphalt has to be worked while it is still above roughly 175 degrees. Once it cools below that, the stone locks up, and no amount of rolling will fix it. So the operator is chasing a cooling ribbon of blacktop, trying to hit exactly the right number of passes over every square foot, not too few, not too many, in the dark, in the heat, by feel. For 100 years, that was all it was: feel and experience. A good operator was worth his weight, because he could sense the mat under him and read it like weather. Then German engineers built machines that could measure it. This is what intelligent compaction means. Sensors inside the roller drum read how the ground pushes back with every pass, and turn that stiffness into a number in real time. GPS tracks the machine to within an inch, painting a live color map of the whole job, so the operator can see exactly which spots have been compacted and which have not. No more guessing. On the paving side, the same idea. Machines guided by GPS and three-dimensional models control the screed automatically, holding the grade and the thickness far tighter than a human hand ever could. The Germans did not just build a better roller. They took the one thing a road depends on, the thing you cannot see, and made it visible. That is the whole game, and America handed it away. Go to almost any big paving job in America today, and you will find American crews. Men who have been laying blacktop since they were teenagers, whose fathers did the same work. They know these roads better than anyone alive, and the machines they climb onto every morning say Wirtgen and Vogele and Hamm and Bomag on the side. German names, on American highways, run by American hands. Most of them do not resent it. The machines are good. Ask a crew that has run both, and a lot of them will tell you the German iron is more precise, better built, easier to trust when a state inspector is about to test the density of what they just laid. There is a quiet respect for the tool, even when the name on it is foreign. But underneath that respect there is something else. A kind of embarrassment that nobody quite says out loud. Because these are the same men who will tell you, correctly, that America used to build the best of everything. Think about what actually disappeared. Barbara Green employed people in Aurora, Illinois. Real jobs, engineers and welders and machinists, in a town that made the machines that paved a nation. When that work went away, it did not reappear somewhere else in America. It moved overseas, to places like Windhagen, where a man named Reinhard Wirtgen had started a small contracting business in 1961 and turned it into the company so dominant that John Deere would one day have to buy it. That is the part that stings. Deere is not some faded brand. It is one of the strongest industrial companies America has. Founded in 1837, older than most of the states its tractors work in. And when Deere looked at the road building business and decided it wanted in, it did the math and realized it could not catch up, not in any reasonable amount of time. So in 2017, it wrote a check for more than $5 billion and bought the German lead outright. That was not weakness. It was a cold, honest admission from smart people about where the real capability lived, and it did not live here anymore. Somebody won this. German engineers, German workers, German towns. They won it fairly, by taking the work seriously for 50 years while America was busy with other things. And somebody lost it. Not in a crash, anyone reported. In a slow leak of factories and know-how that closed, one plant at a time, while the country assumed it would always be able to build whatever it needed. So here is where we end up. America built the greatest road network in the history of the world. Nearly 50,000 miles of interstate, a thing so large and so useful that we stopped even noticing it. the way you stop noticing the floor. And then, over about 40 years, it quietly forgot how to build the machines that keep that network alive. There is a difference between building something and tending it. Anybody can be proud of the founding. The interstate system was a founding. It was ambition poured out in concrete by a generation that believed America should make the hard things itself. Tending is less glamorous. Tending is the milling machine that grinds up a worn lane at 2 in the morning, the roller chasing a cooling mat, the unglamorous, permanent work of keeping a road from falling apart. And it turns out that a country can be very good at the founding and slowly lose interest in the tending. It can keep the highway and give away the factory. None of this happened because Americans got lazy or stupid. The men on those crews are neither. It happened because, decision by decision, the country decided that this kind of work, heavy, physical, unglamorous, was not worth holding on to, that someone else could make the iron, and we would just buy it. Every one of those decisions made sense on its own. Added up, they moved an entire industry across an ocean. You can still drive the interstate at dawn and feel that old ambition under your tires. The road is still here. It still works. It is still, in its way, a wonder. But the next time you pass a work crew laying a fresh black ribbon of it, look at the machines, read the names on the side, and understand that you are watching Americans do American work on American ground, with tools their own country decided it no longer needed to know how to make. America invented the road. America invented the paver. And then America decided that building the machine mattered less than owning the highway. The highway is still ours. The machine is not. That is the trade a nation makes when it falls in love with what it built and forgets to love the building itself.